My name's Jeremy Ajema, and this is part 2 of the Seeburg album player. And we're gonna go around the mechanism. I'll show you some of the things. I'll show you a special tool you can make when you work on one of these. This is the same mechanism that's also in the Seeburg home stereo console. Let's get started. Okay, just gonna do a quick walk around here. What we've got is the main player mechanism itself here. Got the record rack, of course. This is the special tool. I'm going to show you how to use that. And if you're interested, you can also contact me, leave me a message on Facebook or email, as you'll find contact information on the YouTube page, and I'll share that information on how to make that. This right here shows, it's the record guide to let you know that record 68, let's say, is this record right here. Useful for figuring out what record's in what here. And down below here, this is really a piece of very interesting engineering. Inside here, this is the memory unit. It's all electronic. This is what determines what record is selected and what record, is not selected. So inside here is basically a very early form of computer memory with toroids. They're small little donut-shaped magnets, and when you pass an electrical current strong enough through one direction, the magnet has a certain polarity, and when you send it through the other direction, the polarity shifts around. All right, and here is the actual piece that touches the very edge of the record. So this is what will lift up the record up the ramp, which we'll show you later. And it's really a nice piece of engineering. This machine is very delicate with the records. It works great. All right, we'll continue our walk around. This holds 50 long playing records. Here are the gear teeth that the mechanism engages on to traverse the length here. This is a stop for the, it's got like a paddle switch on here, which we'll show you. So the mechanism, when that paddle switch hits it, automatically goes the other way. All right, so I've already taken the screws off the cover here, so let's pull this off. Get that out of the way. Okay, what we've got here, of course, is a belt. It originally has 2 drive belts, but the factory pretty much modified it and said, you really only need to do one. Let's get some manual focus going on here. That's better. All right, so we only run 1 drive belt here down to our first motor, which is got the Seeburg Corporation logo on it. This is unique to this type of machine only, so there is a couple of oil pipes on it, which are also in the manual. It shows them, but those are very important to keep this oiled regularly. You don't want to burn out this motor because it is pretty much impossible to get a brand new one. This is the motor that runs the turntable. And what we got buried back in here, so you can just see it, there is the motor that runs the other functions of the mechanism. What that motor does is it causes the mechanism to go back and forth and load up the record and do everything else. All right, let's see. Let's keep going around here. Readjust our focus. Here we go. Bring in the light a little bit. All right, here you got the tone arm with the 2 needles on it, so the tone arm shifts side to side and it can play each side of the record. This is standard Seeburg mechanism down in here. It's used on a lot of different models. Back in here you can see the camshaft, which controls basically a lot of the functions here. We only have 1 solenoid on this. That's pretty amazing they were able to do that. 1 solenoid basically starts the action and gets it going. And here we've got a little special brush here that comes down and cleans the needle. Really handy. Keeps the needle good. And this is our preamplifier. They've got that on here to reduce any electrical noise, so they can send a special signal, you know, have it amplified here instead of amplifying it at a later position. Okay, and this is that paddle switch I was talking about before to cause the mechanism motor to reverse. So once it gets down to the other end, hits that tab, and the mechanism immediately starts going back the other direction. Also, this mechanism will only pick up records when it's traveling in one direction. So it's when it's going from this side to that side is when it'll pick up a record. Just the way they kind of made it. And of course we've got all our various switches and electrical relays and stuff. Okay, now we're at the back of the mechanism where more of the interesting stuff tends to happen. We've got our nice label that's still attached there. This is the gear case for the motor that's just buried in here that handles all the other functions. Through this shaft is the all-important clutch mechanism, and that controls whether the mechanism is traversing the length of the record rack or if it's actually loading a record or putting away a record. This is our also very important safety plunger. If the record only gets part way in, the mechanism won't force the record up. The safety plunger will hit it and it'll dump the record back down without damaging it. And let's see, what else do we got here? This is the ramp that the record rolls up. I'll show you the mechanism loading the record. It's really cool. So it just gently picks up the record on the edge, like I said, and rolls it up the ramp, then clamps it up here on the turntable. Here is that special tool I was talking about. The Seeburg tool is similar, different kind of a knob, but it's basically a hollow tube with a notch in the end, which fits on the top here. And when that is inserted and pressed down, what we see down here is that it disengages this transfer motor, and you can move the mechanism manually, which is great for servicing, or if you've got a problem with it, you can move the unit through its steps very slowly. It's great. All right, so let's get this record back out here. See, just by pushing down on it, we're in the moving function here. I am able to get this mechanism to just glide easily. It works very nicely. So like I said, this motor is also impossible to buy. It's only used in this application that I know of, so it's really important that you keep it in good health. There's no oiling points on it, unfortunately, but as long as it works good, just keep everything else working good that it affects, and you should be good to go. It's really a nice quality motor. Alright, so in order to get this to change states, we're going to go down over here, and this is the trip lever is what it's called. It's on this mechanism, it is like a pointed arrow piece. Right here. So we're mimicking that plunger pulling it up. Alright, so I've got this loaded, or got this set, so it should pull this record up here. And depending on which way this motor is spinning determines on which side of the record it's going to play. See, it's rolling it gently up the ramp. It's just touching the record on the very edge in the back there. Alright, and the arm is pulling away just a little bit. And then the motor, the mechanism is in play now. The motor can spin and it doesn't do anything. So everything's all locked into place. This cannot move at all. It's physically locked in down here on the clutch. And we're not going to drag anything here, and there's adjustments for everything, so this record, the mechanism is set so we won't drag on these plastic dividers. And we're loaded in position. Now to put the record back, we just lift up on our detent lever there. We're just spinning the knob. And this has got a really strong spring to clamp it in, so it does take a little bit of force here. And there goes our record. We just got the needle cleaned. Alright, so it's just dropped into its notch down here. We're going to load it up again though, just so you can see it from this side. Here she comes. And she comes in here, loads up the record. And there she's back into neutral. Then the record can play. If it's going to play the other side of the record at the same time, what it'll do is it'll partially put the record back and pull it back up, and the needle will be on the correct side. And as soon as it gets into finishes, it'll go into scan mode. We'll just let her go here. And that's all thanks to this special tool, because you can't do it without it. Well, I hope you enjoyed this look at the main mechanism of the Seeburg AP1 unit. Again, it is really basic Seeburg technology with a few extra added bits, because it's got the same base mechanism casting as the 45 RPM players and whatnot. It's just they really got inventive to utilize it to play these larger records, so it's really something cool. If you got any questions, let me know, either in the comments, on Facebook. Like I said, my email address is in the contacts for the YouTube channel, so reach out. And that special tool is pretty darn easy to make, but there are some instructions on it, and you really need it for when you're working on one of these. So, again, have yourself a great day. Thanks for watching.